They don't want to stay at home when you pull them. They just want flexible working hours and flexible working conditions like you have. And I think we should all advocate for that. It's not one or the other. But when you sit here and you go, you'll be more fulfilled doing this, then spend all your time doing that. We would love for you to leave the public eye and go focus on what makes you fulfilled.
Okay. Hi, my name is Candace Owens.
Wow. Already with the snark. Already with the snark and arrogance. It's going to be a good one. But just want to give you a little preview before we get in. That's all I've seen of this so far. And yeah, we're going to watch it together. And I'm going to give you some Pickasso takes. And we're going to make fun of some of these people. You know what we do? You know what we do here? We're going to make fun of anyone that appears on the screen is liable to be made fun of. And have their arguments picked apart. So hopefully we get through this and Jubilee, you don't strike it. I do have it pulled up on my phone, but just let me know if the stream goes down at any point. It is what it is. We're going to have to switch gears. But until then, in lieu of Independence Day, let's roast some independent women. Independence Day. Shout out to them. Never should have got their independence. And I am fully prepared for a lot of dislikes on this video. I'm fully aware and fully ready for a wave of dislikes. Angry women go, oh my God, yeah, 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 proving my point that they don't know how to take a fucking joke. Okay? So women should have never got the right to vote. Happy 4th of July. Women shouldn't be allowed to vote. These are jokes. They're going to come all night.
I am a podcaster.
All right, let's replay the beginning again in case you missed it.
Don't want to stay at home when you pull them. They just want flexible working hours and flexible working conditions like you have. And I think we should all advocate for that. It's not one or the other. But when you sit here and you go, you'll be more fulfilled doing this, then spend all your time doing that. We would love for you to leave the public eye and go focus on what makes you fulfilled.
Okay. Hi, my name is Candace Owens. I am a...
See, that's the one thing. I feel like there's always commonality between these, you know, like that's why I said dingbats, because it's like really just the term itself, like feminist, like, okay, I'm a humanist for one. I'm a humanist. I don't separate into and I feel like we see it a lot, especially around, you know, a community where people are so hyper focused on colors and genders, and to me there's no difference. Absolutely no difference between the LGBTQ people that are like so hyper focused on gender and all this dumb shit than other people that are so focused on race and, oh, you're white, so you must be racist because you're white and blah, 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 and Edomites, and like, all right, dog, like y'all are in the same boat to me. Y'all are brainwashed. Y'all literally just brainwashed, and y'all are still in the matrix for real. So, but you see that, you notice how there's always a condescending, like almost like a sense of like a bully, very like bully tactics. And there's very much group think. They gang up, they hurl personal attacks and laugh at you as a person. That's what people do when they can't make an argument. You know what I mean? So let's watch some of this.
You fulfilled.
Okay. Hi, my name is Candace Owens. I am a podcaster, a mother, a wife, and also the author of the upcoming book, Make Him a Sandwich. And today I am surrounded by 20...
Make Him a Sandwich is fire. That's a fire name for a book. But also it's like, oh, wife and mother. Ew, you're a mother? Gross. Ew, pull that parasite out of you. You got a parasite growing inside of you? A mother? Ew. That's how these people think, bro. They're cooked.
20 feminists.
And it's like, all of you are only in existence because your mother carried you for 9 months. She might have had dreams and ambitions and goals that she never got to accomplish because she carried you and look how you turned out. An ungrateful fucking nothing, waste of space. Whining.
My first claim is that the sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy.
Wow, no, this is the only time I haven't seen people rush to the chair to argue. Everyone's dilly-dallying, taking their sweet time, looking around the room like, hey, you in the pajamas, you want to go up there? No one, because they know they don't have an argument for this one. It's fact. And I mean, you could say that about both genders at this point, but it's just true. So there's actually no argument against this, and that's why no one's running to the chair. Damn it.
Hello.
Hi, I'm
What's your name?
Samaya.
Samaya, nice to meet you. I'm Candace.
Nice to meet you too. So my question for you is, statistics show that 60% of women who are murdered by their intimate partners, murdered by someone that they are in close.
Okay, bro. I salute who's here. Salute. I love when people do this thing. So, okay, what was the prompt? The prompt statement was, the sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy. This chick comes to the chair, and what is her argument against that? And obviously, you got to go to the stats. Everyone loves their stats. 60% of women that are murdered by intimate partner. What the fuck does that have to do with the prompt? Could not be more irrelevant to the sexual revolution as devalued. Well, actually, 60% of murdered women are murdered by spouses. What? I think you're at the wrong chair, lady. Wrong Jubilee episode. The fuck are you talking about?
Question for you is, statistics show that 60% of women who are murdered by their intimate partners, murdered by someone that they are in close relations with. That's according to the UN from 2023.
Yeah.
So how is it that, women are so valued, quote unquote, in the home, and yet that's the place where they're at the most danger?
Okay, so I'm not sure what that has to do with the sexual revolution.
Right.
Okay. What's the argument there? If they're so valued, why do they get murdered at home? What? Hold on. Is that even true? Because I hear people say stats all the time, and then you look it up and you're like, that's not even true. Like, where did you get that? People, they never state where the stat came from, And then you're like, I'm going to keep playing this, but I'm going to look this up because I want to know. 60% of women that are murdered are by a spouse. I'm not doubting it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
They're at the most danger.
Okay, so I'm not sure what that has to do with the sexual revolution.
Right, the sexual revolution.
The first claim.
The sexual revolution gave.
I'm happy to answer it. I'm just saying that, if you broaden that statistic, you are more likely in general just to be murdered by somebody you know. So, of course.
Right. Men are much less likely to be murdered by, their
That's not
partners.
true.
Wait. Men are much likely less likely to be murdered? What are you talking about?
No. So, of course.
But men are much less likely to be murdered by, their
That's not
partners.
true.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm sure, because men are less likely to be murdered by women. Full stop. Yeah, exactly. So that statistic makes sense to me. I'm still not sure.
Okay, what does this have to do with what she said in the beginning? That the sexual revolution has devalued women and their happiness. She's like, but actually, men don't get murdered by their girlfriends as much. What? Like, oh my God, my bad.
Women,
It's like she looked this stat up before she came and not realizing she's arguing it at the wrong time. Wait for the second prompt, and that might actually fit better because it don't fit here at all.
Revolution gave
I'm happy to
women-
answer it. I'm just saying that, you know, if you brought in that statistic, you
Sure.
are more likely in general just to be murdered by somebody you know. So of course,
But men are much less likely to be murdered by, you know, their
that's
intimate
not
partners.
true.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
yeah, I'm sure, because men are less likely to be murdered by women. Full stop. That's,
Yeah.
exactly. So that statistic makes sense to me.
God,
I'm still not sure how this correlates to whether or not
The sexual revolution increased women's ability to leave the house, women's ability to control their own reproduction.
the sexual revolution increased women's ability to leave the house. Care to elaborate on that? What the fuck are you talking about? So women before, they couldn't leave the house. They had to be home all day. They had to be home all day to get murdered by their partners. But now that they're jumping from penis to penile, they're jumping from penile to penile, they're a lot safer now. What the fuck are you talking about? Bro, we're only a minute in. It's an hour and a half. We're 1 minute in. I can't with these people. They're insane, bro. What the fuck does that even mean? Well, the fact that women are fucking more men these days means they have more access to leave the house? What, because you have another dude's house you can hang out at? Like, what is that the argument? I don't understand.
And increased women's ability to leave the house, women's ability to control
And
their
look, bitch nodding her head. Yep, that's true. That's true. I could always leave my husband. I always have some random dude that will let me go stay at his house if I let him dick me down.
own reproductive capabilities, women's ability to, you know, control their own capacity within the workforce in regards to their own sexual capacity. So it is the very fact that the sexual revolution happened that made our access to the workplace much more, or just the public sphere in general, much more easy.
What are you talking about? The fact that we fuck more people has given us literally. Okay, hold on. Did she not just give an argument like pro Harvey Weinstein argument? Did she not? She said the fact that we fuck more people now gives us more opportunity in the workplace. What the fuck? That's literally what she said.
The very fact that the sexual revolution happened that made our access to the workplace much more, or just the public sphere in general, much more easy.
That's kind of crazy thing to say, Jim. A woman doesn't cheat or kill their husbands for money nowadays. You don't. I mean, I'm not gonna highlight that, but okay. Shout out to that, I guess. I don't know.
So, without the sexual revolution, women would be much more confined to the place where they're at the most danger. Isn't that true?
So you think that, just so I'm trying to understand your argument here, you think that if we didn't have the sexual revolution, less women or more women would be murdered? Are you saying that women are
more women would be murdered for sure?
Okay. I disagree with that. I still don't think it has anything to do with the claim that women are infinitely less happy because of the sexual revolution, which has devalued
I think
women.
you'd probably be less happy if you're being murdered.
Oh.
Anyone disagree?
Okay, yeah, I don't. Okay, okay. There is definitely a correlation between personal relationships and domestic violence. And just to be clear, if we're talking about just a monogamous relationships, the most violent relationships that are on the books are between lesbian partners. Yes, when people are intimate,
that's not a true
that is actually true.
No, the statistic you're talking about is people who have faced domestic violence. Lesbians, yes.
Okay, so now I have seen episodes in the past where people just say shit and they don't pull up the fact check. So I'm glad that they had this in the corner, but
is actually true.
No, the statistic you're talking about is people who have faced domestic violence. Lesbians, yes, are more likely to have faced domestic violence, but that's because they typically came from relationships with men in which they were.
Hold on. What the fuck is she talking? Yes, lesbians are more likely to face domestic violence, but it's the men. She's saying most lesbians have been in a relationship with a man and been and domestic abuse by the man? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So literally, she just wants to ignore the fact that that is a known stat, that domestic violence is very high among lesbian relationships. So that means that women also beat other women. And she's trying to pawn that off as like, no. But that's, yes, women face domestic violence in lesbian relationships, but that's not the other woman beating them up. That's a imaginary man that they may have been with before. What the fuck, bro? This is my problem, dog. This is my problem. Is that they can never just like admit, like, yes, this might, men might do some bad shit, but yes, also women do this or that. Like, never, literally trying to take a actual factual stat and muddy it up with some nonsense context that doesn't exist, that you just made up in your own mind.
Oh, the statistic you're talking about is people who have faced domestic violence. Lesbians, yes, are more likely to have faced domestic violence, but that's because they typically came from relationships with men in which they were mistreated.
Lesbian relationships are the most violent relationships that we have on the books.
But we can move on.
They can fact check that claim.
Not true, but we can move on. If it's not true, wouldn't you want to pin her down? I thought the whole point, you rush to the chair to argue. You think you got this person in a corner and they're wrong on something. Why wouldn't you pin them down on it? It's because you know what you said is bullshit. And that's another thing women will do when they're wrong. They just go, actually, no, you're wrong, but okay, and move on. Like, no. If a woman actually thinks you're wrong, they won't just, okay. Oh, but okay, we can move on. No. They will fucking redirect 1,000 times and bring you back to the point where you're wrong and they know you're wrong. They will bring you back to that for an hour straight. So if a woman ever goes, oh yeah, but okay, and anyway, and like moves on, that's because they know. That's basically them admitting. That's basically a woman admitting that you're right. It's by, even when they go, okay, you're wrong, but okay, we can move on. Them saying that we can move on is literally their way of admitting that they're probably wrong. They're probably wrong. And that's why they're giving you the, okay, we can move off this. Because if they actually thought you were wrong, they would never move past it.
The point being is that it's not exactly a stunning statistic to say that when people are in relationships, period, whether those relationships are homosexual, whether they're
but
married,
you're saying that the sexual revolution.
Let me finish. I've let you try to explain how this is correlated to happiness, and I don't think it does. I actually think
that's a dude? Oh my God. I don't even know. I'm sorry. I didn't even notice. I didn't notice that there's a male feminist in the crowd. Oh my God.
You try to explain how this is correlated to happiness, and I don't think it does. I actually think you're having a different debate right now. But yes, absolutely. It makes perfect sense that you are more likely in general when you are in a relationship, because people are driven by anger by people that they know, whether or not we're talking about boyfriend and girlfriend, a husband and a wife, a husband and a husband, or a wife and a wife. Yes, of course, the instances of domestic violence are going to take place when you're
right. Like by definition. Right? By definition, domestic violence means it takes place domestically. So you're a lot less likely to get fucking bitch slapped by a stranger. A fucking random person walking on the street that don't know you from Adam has way less reason to be emotional, to be mad at you, to whatever, to, you know what I mean? Like, do random attacks happen? Yeah, but there's a reason. There's a reason why, like, stranger on stranger stuff is way less likely to happen. That's just all across the board.
Inside of a home. But the sexual...
Oh my God, this girl. I've seen this one before. Looking like caution. Bro, these, whatever you call this, I know this is like the septum, whatever you call this thing right here, the through the bridge of the nose. Ugh, yuck. I've never seen that look attractive on a woman. Ever. You could take the most dime piece girl there is. And this goes this is like this is colorless. Okay, it don't matter their shape, don't matter their size, their height, don't matter what race they are. I've never seen a dime piece that had this piercing that made it look, that still pulled it off and was like attractive with it. I always look at it and go, ew, take that out, take that shit out. Ew.
Revolution, encouraging women to give up their goods for free, which is what I'm speaking about, and encouraging men not to marry these women or to have long-term relationships. What I am saying is a direct contributor to their unhappiness, because women are giving up their goods for free and women are now entering the workplace, and that does not actually make them happy.
Okay, pause. Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
I mean, this is crazy to me. That was like the most woman argument I've ever seen. She started with a point about the sexual revolution and how that devalued, and she came in guns a-blazing about a completely different topic. And she literally had to tell her, like, okay, I feel like you're arguing a different argument. She was. It's like she brought a gun, not even, she brought a stick to a tank fight. She brought a stick to a tank fight. Like, you're at the wrong chair, lady. Oh, I love it. Let's watch the race to the chair. And it's so funny because a lot of these people, it's the only time they've ran this year at all. It's the only time they've gotten any physical activity this year is begrudgingly running to a chair.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you? I'm Candace.
And I love the people that like that get up, that like, it's like that move where like someone's paying for dinner, so you do the, oh, I'm reaching for my wallet, oh you got it, oh they're paying for it, you know what I mean? Like they did the, oh, I'm going for the chair, but they like, it was like so half-hearted. Like they clearly were not going for the chair. They just made it look like, oh, to like get someone else to go.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jillian. I human. Oh my God, bro. Who is it? It's always like, it's always one of these things that wants to tell you about women. Just because you've had a couple girlfriends doesn't mean you would know. Julian,
my pronouns are they, them.
Oh, of course they are. Of course your pronouns are. My pronouns are flannel jacket. My pronouns are flannel jacket.
How are you? I'm Candace.
Nice to meet you. Julian, my pronouns are they, them. It's very interesting to think of it when we just think about the gender binary. It's, how
when we think about the gender binary, not a thing.
do we place value on human beings in general? And so when we think about, placing value, that comes from a place of power, right? So
right, don't lie to us. My name's Julianne. No, your name's Butch Cassidy. Where's the Sundance Kid? Huh? Where's the Sundance Kid? And look, behind her is the guy that played Shang Tsung in the 96 Mortal Kombat film. Your soul is mine. Looking like Shang Tsung in the face. Mortal Kombat. Your soul is mine. Literally.
I think let's select like the Victorian era. You have this dominant group of people coming from white supremacy, deciding who gets to have a proper status in the world. And so that is already like taking human beings and devaluing them. And so with the sexual revolution.
Oh, really? Humans were devalued in the Victorian era? No. What? I can't believe it. Not the Victorian era, where they beheaded people live in front of crowds. What? You mean when they used to chop people's heads off in front of children? No way. They devalued humans in the Victorian era? Bro.
Place taking human beings and devaluing them. And so what the sexual revolution did was to help people seek out empowerment, which increased value no matter the gender. So when it comes to sexual revolution, let's look at one contribution is sex education. I'm actually an educator. I teach sociology and LGBTQ studies. And
I teach LGBTQ studies. Bro.
absolutely seen the positive outcome with the sexual
What is up with this haircut, bro?
revolution and LGBTQ studies.
What is this? From the back, you look like a fat Chinese boy named Tong. You look like a fat Chinese boy named Ricky Tiki Tumbo Miso Rumbo. Ricky Tiki. You're fucking looking like Jack Black in Tropic Thunder. Looking like a dude disguised as a dude playing another dude.
And I have absolutely seen the positive outcome with the sexual revolution and sex education and seen people empower themselves. And with that comes...
Oh my God. They love to throw this word around. Empowerment. I've seen the positive benefits and the empowerment. It's so empowering when you just go off and fuck 22. I'm sorry. You look like you don't even like men. Okay? You look like you don't even like men. Or actually, to be more accurate, men don't like you. Okay? No dude is trying to sleep with you, Ricky Tiki Tumbo. Okay? So you talking about the empower, maybe to you, in your mind, you envision when you were in middle school how empowering it would be if a dude would actually want to sleep with you, but they don't. So don't sit here and tell me for how empowering it is for women to go fuck a million dudes when you don't know what it's like to be longed. You don't know what it's like to be yearned for. Okay? You have the personality of wet mud and the profile of a janky beanbag. Okay? Wilson. Okay? Wilson from Home Improvement.
Safety when it comes to decreasing STIs, abuse, sexual assault. Again, people get to empower themselves of all genders. And I know earlier you mentioned...
What? Talking about STIs. You get to empower yourself against STIs. Do you... What? She thinks if you just fuck a bunch of people that you'll build up an immunity to all STDs? It's like, what is the argument here? I don't understand.
When it comes to decreasing STIs, abuse, sexual assault. Again, people get to empower themselves of all genders. And I know earlier you mentioned about...
How is sleeping with more people decreasing STIs? Make that make sense to me.
Violence amongst lesbians and sapphic community, which I do identify within. All genders can be subjected.
I do identify with. She's like, I beat the shit out of Rachel. Rachel, my girlfriend, she was melting off. She was texting some dude. I get it. I often beat the shit out of my lesbian girlfriend. It's like she definitely does a little toot. She does a little toot and beats up Sally.
Amongst lesbians and sapphic community, which I do identify within. All genders can be subjected to violence.
That was the point I was making. So I wasn't sure of how her claim was relating to what we were talking about, whether or not it makes people happy or unhappy. Relationships are obviously a ground where there can be violence.
I guess I could just wrap it up by saying, like, if we all have access to like sex education through the incredible work of feminists through the sexual revolution, we are able to gain access to information and gain skills to create an equitable society, egalitarian within our relationships, whether it be platonic or romantic. I'm so grateful for those feminists who have fought for us so we can gain those spaces and create a healthier society.
Okay, are you a believer in the government doing everything that it can to make people happy?
So when it comes, as someone that teaches in the public sector, I understand the concern when it comes to like, what is a teacher, what kind of information they're providing to the students. I do believe that we, as a teacher, I should be able to give that sort of information.
I do believe that as a teacher, I should be able to indoctrinate all children with my beliefs.
Again, I teach college students. One of my claims is I believe that we should mandate sex education amongst college students. So yes, I do want the state, I would like the government to...
We got hit. They did not like it. They did not like those jokes.